I know that whenever I preach, everyone misses Father Norbert's jokes, so just this once. There was a priest who, very late at night, was called out to anoint someone at the hospital. And it was a very cold, windy night, a lot like last night. And so, a little reluctantly, he got out of bed, he got dressed, and he got bundled up, nice and warm. And he drove out to the hospital, but the street right leading up to the hospital was closed. So he could either go around or he could just park and walk. So he decided, whatever, parked and went off. But on his way, he was confronted by a man wearing a mask and holding a gun. And he said, "Give me your wallet." And the priest was naturally pretty scared. So he reached into his coat pocket to grab his wallet. As he did, he kind of undid his scarf and everything. And the robber saw his collar, and he said, "Oh, Father, I'm so sorry, I didn't know." So the priest, who was a little numb from the cold and from shock and from relief, just kind of wordlessly reaches into one of his other pockets, pulls out a box of cigarettes and offers him one. And he says, "Oh, Father, I can't. I gave up smoking for Lent." Why does God have us sacrifice something for Lent? Why does God every year make us pick something and say, "No more of that for 40 days"? It's actually the same reason why he asked Abraham to sacrifice his son, and the same reason why he brought Peter, James, and John up that mountain and transfigured himself before them. Because everything that God does, every action he takes, every decision he makes, is for one purpose: for us. God has decided to bend his entire will toward us. So when Jesus leads his disciples up that mountain, when he reveals his glory to them, when he becomes brilliant and shining, he doesn't do it so that they'll worship him. He doesn't do it so they'll do what he wants them to. That was a lot of the old gods, the gods of the Greeks, of the Canaanites. They showed their power so that people would obey, like a cruel king. But Jesus shows his power. He transfigures himself to show just a little piece of his glory for his disciples, for us. When God the Father speaks through the cloud and says, "This is my beloved Son, listen to him," he doesn't say that for attention, like you or I might tell someone to listen to us so that we get heard. He said it for us so that we would hear what he has to say. Because Jesus wanted to make sure that the disciples had some glimmer of hope for that time when Jesus would climb another mountain and again show his glory. Not in brilliant light, not in white clothing so amazing, but naked on a cross. He wanted them to have some reminder that this is not the end. Some reminder that somehow the man who could do that, who could transform himself before us, he's not lost here. So then why does God tell Abraham to sacrifice his son? If any of you were ever athletes during high school or college maybe, you probably have an experience of, at various times, loving and hating your coach. Because your coach has a tough job. He has to push the athlete beyond what they think they can do. Because when that person says that they can't go another step, that they're tired, that they're done, that this is the end, this is a good day, coach, I've done what I came here to do, like I'm feeling pretty good about what I did. Coach says, one more lap, one more play, one more run, one more goal. We're not done. This isn't over. And why does he do that? Just to win the game? Sure, but there's more to it than that. Because when that athlete is brought to the point of exhaustion and goes a step further, when they push past their limits, they realize those limits were never there. When God puts Abraham to the test, it is not so that God can learn how faithful Abraham is. God knows everything. Every thought, every word, every deed that you and I have, am, and will ever do, he knows. He's trying to show Abraham. So that when Abraham is willing to give up his son, not just his son, but himself. Remember, Abraham means father of faith. His very identity is as a father. And a father is nothing without his son. And so when he's asked to sacrifice even his son, he's being asked to sacrifice himself. And when he does that, he realizes just how far he is willing to go. He realizes just how deep his love for God goes. He realizes just how much he wants to be with God. And when he does that, he receives back 100, 1,000, a billionfold, becoming not just the father of Isaac, but the father of all. And so, when we come to the Lenten season, when we choose some little part of ourselves that we think we can't go without, that little piece of ourselves that maybe we wonder, can I really go 40 days? When we give that up, it's not so that God can have it. It's not so that we can praise him so that he feels good about himself. He feels plenty good about himself, trust me. It's not so that we can set up a tent for him on the mountain. It's not so that we can worship him, but so that he can help us to realize just how far we're willing to go. And so we push ourselves year after year to the point of exhaustion and beyond, to realize just how far we will go. For what? God is so gracious as to show us for what. He transfigures himself before us, becoming brilliant and powerful, so that when we see him, looking weak, looking vulnerable, looking like just a piece of bread, we can realize he is so much more. Because we give him a part of ourselves, and in exchange, he gives us all of himself, body, blood, soul, divinity, all within the Eucharist, all right here, right now. So why does God do any of this? He does it for us.